Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Two Costa Rica Real Talk, Two Costa Rica Real Estate's podcast on all things real estate and Costa Rica. Today we're joined by Steve Hooven, a luxury real estate agent in the Jaco area. How are you doing today, Steve?
Good. Thanks for having me, Alonso.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. Today, perhaps first an introduction to who you are. How did you discover the Costa Rican rental market?
Yeah, we should probably go back to my first trip to Costa Rica, which was all the way back in 2006. Back then, my brother-in-law actually had a good buddy that bought a rental investment property in Del Mar, Los Sueños. So we came down back in 2006 on a fishing / golf / surf trip. And that's when I really fell in love with the country. And during that week, I took a trip over to Jaco Beach, and that's when I saw all the development going on. This is before 2008, so the market was booming, and there was a lot of opportunity. So, I saw all the cranes going up, like the big towers in Jaco Beach, and that's kind of when I had the light bulb aha moment when I started thinking maybe I should buy a real estate investment property.
No, and was that also the moment when you decided to move into Costa Rica?
Yeah, I mean, that's when taking a step back, that's when I met a realtor by the name of Todd Cutter, who's a company owner of Two Costa Rica Real Estate, along with his brother, Scott. So Todd and I kind of searched out the different properties that he thought would fit my criteria as an investment property. And at the time, I had no intention of moving to Costa Rica. So we actually zeroed in on a property called Vista Las Palmas, which is on the south end of Jaco Beach. And me and a couple of partners actually bought the property. And fast forward a year, we started doing very well with the rental income, to the point where some of my neighbors were asking me to manage their property. And at the time, I was still living in Philadelphia, working at Vanguard Mutual Funds. As the rental income increased and I started getting more and more neighbors asking me to manage their property, that's kind of when I had the second light bulb go off, or the second aha moment. And I started thinking I could go down there and start a luxury real estate investment or rental company. So I kept in touch with Todd Cutter, and I told him I was thinking about moving to Costa Rica. And Todd said, well, that's funny because I'm thinking about opening an office in Jaco Beach, a real estate office, not for rentals, just for sales. And he said, would you have any interest in being a realtor? And at that point, within 3 weeks, I had my bags packed, and I moved to Costa Rica to become a luxury real estate agent. So it was literally that fast.
What about established coastal markets like Jaco, for example, do you see as what's the main appeal for you as a realtor?
Yeah, I think the main appeal is the proximity to the international airport in San Jose. You can get to Los Sueños in about an hour or an hour and 15 minutes. That's very appealing for somebody that's flying for 5 hours, because a lot of these other popular destinations on the beach could take 3 or 5 hours to get to. So the easy drive and the access to Jaco and Los Sueños makes it very appealing. The second thing is obviously the natural beauty, especially in Los Sueños with the rainforests and the beaches and, the golfing and the world-class marina. And then you can come down to Jaco Beach, where you have a little bit of the amenities with the surfing and all the restaurants and the nightlife.
Also, in terms of the developments in the area, it's been established there's something for everyone. How would you describe the current, for example, the Sueños, Jaco Beach, Playa Hermosa, the kind of demographics they appeal to?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's really diverse here. Yeah, we have three major tourist towns, all within a 10-mile radius. And the first one's what you mentioned, Los Sueños. So the people that gravitate towards Los Sueños are the people that love to sport fish, or they love to golf. Those type of people, they either buy their rental investment properties or they go there to rent, and they have all those amenities right in front of them, right on the golf course, or they could walk to the marina and go sport fishing. For Jaco Beach, it's a little more middle class, I would say. You get more of not just the surfer types, because it's really becoming more luxury, the beachfront. So the people that want, families with kids, they want to play on the beach or they want to surf mid-sized waves, they kind of gravitate towards Jaco Beach. And then if you go 10 minutes south, you have Playa Hermosa. And that's more of like the eco-friendly type people, whether it be a yoga retreat or if it's like a hardcore surfer. Playa Hermosa is basically like the surf spot that put Costa Rica on the map. In my opinion, like that, the waves in Playa Hermosa is the most consistent surf spot. So that Playa Hermosa tends to attract like the eco-friendly and surfers. So it's like 3 different diverse areas.
So in terms of like the rental property owners or investors, who looks for rental properties in the Central Pacific? How would you say? Because you already mentioned about like the different developments and areas and demographics, but in terms of like rental itself, how does it work?
Yeah, there's really, what I'm seeing is 2 main categories. There's what's really popular is the beachfront condominiums, the luxury beachfront condominiums in Jaco Beach. And there's a lot of condominiums in Los Sueños also. But then the second category is large, 7 to 10 bedroom homes that can accommodate like the big groups, whether it be like a corporate retreat, a large family or a couple different families, where we also see like bachelor parties, guys coming down to go golfing or sport fishing. So it's really that like 3-bedroom condos on the beach is really popular for like maybe it's 2 couples or a small family. And then we have like the large single family homes and even mansions. Like last week we had a family of 17 people come to rent a 9-bedroom house. So that's kind of what we're seeing, the large groups and then like the smaller families that want to be beachfront into 3-bedroom condos.
And you mentioned that your first approach to like the Costa Rica, like the Central Pacific area, was around like 2008. How have you seen like the evolution of this area over time in terms of like rental and also like the real estate?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it changed a lot in the past, I would say 25 years. Jaco and even like Los Sueños wasn't even here 25 years ago. But Jaco was like kind of a sleepy surf town with, surfers and fishermen. And back then it was mostly like a couple little affordable hotels or even a couple hostels, like the $20 a night, $25 a night kind of hostel living. Nowadays, and I think it's Los Sueños that kind of put the luxury on the map here in Jaco Beach. Nowadays we're moving into that more luxury market where we have homes that are renting out for $3,500 a night. So we really changed from like, a dirt road going through Jaco to major development with high-rise condominiums and multi-million-dollar single-family homes. So it's really changed a lot over the last 25 years.
And also in the last couple of years, particularly after COVID and the way it changed like the Costa Rica real estate and like tourism influx, many people coming via remote work or seeing it like as an opportunity to also like live part-time here. How do you, what kind of trends have you seen like in the Jaco market?
Yeah, one of the biggest trends that I'm seeing, and this is really interesting, and I think it goes back to COVID that you just mentioned. Most of my buyers in the past year or two are not buying to rent out their property. They're buying it for personal use and personal enjoyment. And I think that's because of a mindset change since COVID. Like people are trying to live now. And secondly, the people have the availability to work from home now with the whole work from home movement. So instead of using their properties for 2 or 3 weeks a year, they're coming down for 2 to 3 months a year and kind of working from their properties here in Costa Rica. So I think that's a big advantage for people like that really want to rent out their condominium because there's less people that want to do it. So your demand's going to go up if you're really focused on that income.
Just touch upon like the different like offerings around the Jaco area. How would you say like developments distinguish themselves in like this market?
Yeah, I think certain people want certain amenities, and it kind of goes back what I said in the beginning. Like for Los Sueños, it has a golf course. It also has a world-class marina. So people that want to fish and golf, they're gonna go to Los Sueños. People that want to surf and have the nightlife and all the restaurants and a beach, they're going to want to be in Jaco Beach and Playa Hermosa. And the other thing, and this is really important for clients out there that want to purchase an investment property, if you provide good service and they have all the amenities that they love, they're going to come back every year. And I think that's a really important point, and that kind of establishes not only like different towns, but different buildings. Like if it's a family, they're going to want to be in a family-friendly development. if it's a party group, they're going to want to be near a casino. And the more people that come back every year and stay at the same spot, that's kind of what establishes the communities.
And perhaps like a very established way of approaching rental properties is going like the Airbnb way. What would you say are perhaps like the main pros and cons of like going this route?
Yeah, the main pro is the obvious. It's the income that you're going to make from the rentals. When you buy an investment property, there's going to be expenses. There's going to be the HOA fee, the property tax, the electric, and a few other expenses. So being able to offset that and potentially make a profit, that's the pro. The con is kind of the wear and tear, and you're going to have less personal use. Like if you're booked all of high season, you're not going to be able to use the rental or your property.
And what do you say are perhaps some essential considerations, like expanding a little bit on what you just mentioned for like someone that's looking to acquire a rental property in the area?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and this is real estate in general, is location. As they say, location, location, location. If you're going to buy an investment property, you're going to want to purchase like in an area where people want to be, where the tourists go. Even if your personal preference is to be up in the mountains, up a dirt road 5 miles, I don't think that the public's going to want to be there. So if you're strictly looking for income, you're going to want to be like beachfront in Jaco Beach or even Los Sueños, because there's a reason why there's a lot of new development right now, because there's a demand for it. This is where people want to be. So that's the biggest thing. I think the second thing is to find a good buyer's agent, and ask the tough questions to the buyer's agent. For example, ask like, what's the rental history? If you're buying into a rental property, it should have a rental history. And also like if there's any certain communities have like different restrictions, like they don't like party groups or loud noise. So you want to, or if you want the party groups, you want to make sure they're allowed there. So.
And how's that mentoring process as like a real estate agent, guiding your buyer in terms of like the perfect fit for them?
Yeah, I think like taking a step back, what I just mentioned, first of all, you want to find out like what type of clientele do you want. Do you want families? Do you want people coming on a golf trip? Or do you just want as many people as possible? And you don't, like an example is like, do you want bachelor parties in your house or your condominium? If it's okay, tell your real estate agent that, and that way they can just focus in on those parameters. But if they don't want party groups, you might want to be over in Los Sueños or a different community.
And perhaps regarding the next couple years, perhaps, how do you see currently like the current real estate landscape here in like the Jaco and Central Pacific area? Yeah,
so right now, and this goes back the past couple of years, we're in a seller's market. Like there's not a lot of supply right now. Whether it be for a personal property or a rental investment property. Over the next couple of years, there's a lot of new developments slated, a lot of new construction. There's 2 or 3 new condominium beachfront buildings that are going to be built in the next 3 years in Jaco Beach. It'll be interesting to see, like with the supply coming, if that's going to kind of dilute the people looking for rental income. Because I mentioned before, a lot of people are buying now for personal enjoyment and not to rent out the property. So we're gonna start seeing more supply with the new construction, and it'll be interesting to see if it's for personal use or for rental income.
And perhaps to round off the podcast, what would be like some final words of advice to someone that's looking to get into like the invest here in like the Jaco area or get into like the current real estate environment here?
Yeah, after you find the right area, like the right location and the right property, there's 2 avenues you can take. You can either hire like a property management company and be hands off. And if you do that, they do a good job and they're going to cover all your expenses, but they're also going to charge a commission. So the other avenue is to try to get involved yourself. And even if you do hire a property management company, it's always a good idea to take your property and put it on a VRBO or an Airbnb. And reason being is you're not only going to increase your occupancy, you're going to decrease the commission that you're paying to the property managers, because they want you to do that. They want you to advertise and send people down, but they lower the commission. So you, as an owner, you basically become a travel agent and send people down to the property management company. So I think I tell that to all my clients. Like if you just want to break even and pay all your expenses with your income, just be hands off and hire a property management company. If you want to actually make a profit, get involved a little bit. Like put your property out on VRBO, Airbnb, and advertise it to your friends and family. I mean, I did very well doing that. They call it, in real estate, they call it the sphere of influence. And it's a big part of getting those repeat clients that I mentioned earlier. So it's a good idea to get involved, even if you do hire a property management company.
Those are some great words of advice. Well, thanks, Steve, for coming to the podcast and having this conversation.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you.
If you enjoyed our conversation, you can follow us on social media at Costa Rica Real Estate and check out all our previous podcasts at Costa Rica Real Talk.